Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Irma and you can find me on YouTube, Ravelry and Instagram as Wolwerkjes. Pronunciation is Dutch. I will put the name underneath. I hope everybody is well. I hope everybody is healthy and we will just get started with this podcast. As I said, it is a knitting podcast or vlog or however you want to call it. And I talk about all the things I make, mostly knitting, and I will start showing you the things I have been working on the past 2 weeks. So normally I start with what I'm wearing if there is any handmade item there, but I'm not wearing anything handmade at the moment, so we can skip that part and we will just go to the other stuff of the podcast. When I do have finished objects, I start showing those normally, but the only finished thing I have is some spinning, and I prefer starting with my knitting. So I will just start with the thing I have been knitting on this week, 2 weeks. And it is my, let's see, that's the wrong bag. Where did I there? All those knitting bags everywhere. The project I've been working on is not a surprise for regular viewers. It is my flax light, and I've been working on my flax light for almost 6 months, I think. It's fingering weight sweater, so it takes some time, and I did a lot of other things in between, so I'm not ashamed. I've been knitting on this for 6 months. It's quite some time, but so I have been working on the sleeve of this thing because the body was already done. Last time podcasting I didn't show it because I made a mistake with gauge on the sleeves, so I had to rip back and start it over, and as you can see I've done quite some work. Let's see how many centimeters I'm in. The pattern is written in inches, so I have to calculate each time how many centimeters I should have to get the right amount of inches. I don't have an inch ruler and I'm just not used to inches, so it doesn't... I get better at it, but it's really hard for me to estimate how much a certain amount of inches is. So I have to knit 9 inches and I do have 20 centimeters now. I know 4 inch is around 10 centimeters because that's what you use for most of the gauge measurements you do. You knit 10 centimeters or 4 inches, so that means 20 centimeters. That 20 centimeters is 8 inches, so I'm almost there, but then 1 inch should be like 2.5 centimeters. That's just by using a little math to solve this, but I'm not good in inches. So I'm 20 centimeters in, and after 9 inches they start decreasing, but I'm not 100% sure I will do the decreases because I was watching Lerge from the Fiber Tales podcast, and she is knitting on a design of hers. It's like a basic cardigan and she makes it V-shaped. She made a V-shaped neckline and a round neckline, so it's like a what do you want kind of cardigan, so you can put all the elements together. And she was knitting on the sleeves of one of them, and she just knitted straight and did all the decreases at the end, so you get like a little puff effect, just like a little bit like this one, only in this pattern I think they increased to get like a balloon, so it will be less of an effect than this is. But I really like the effect of what she did. I'm not sure I want it for this sweater, but I'm thinking about it. So I have 1 inch, however much centimeters that may be. I have 1 inch to decide what I'm going to do. If I'm not sure still after coming to the point of decreasing, I will just start the other sleeve and knit it up to the same point and decide then. So I have longer time to decide what I want. But yeah, I'm very happy still with working on this project. So that's really, really nice. And I think that is the only, oh no, I did some other knitting. I was thinking it was the only knitting I've done, but I've done a little bit of knitting on something else. Let's see. Last episode I showed this, I don't know how to call it. It is too shallow for a blanket, it is too long for a blanket, it is too long for a scarf. I just don't know how to call this. But it is knitted in the but it is knitted as to a temperature of my first year of living. So I started at my birthday, the day I was born. I looked up the temperature and I made, it's been a long time, but I think I made like a dividing the temperature in 5 degrees Celsius. So from 0 to 5 is a certain color, from 5 to 10 degrees Celsius is a certain color, and so on. And below 0 the same. We're lucky over here that we don't have like a huge difference in temperature. They are starting to get a little bit bigger, but when I was small we had like maybe 5 degrees below 0 was it, and I don't think we went really above 30 that much in those years. The last few summers we went up to above 40 degrees, so that's changing, and I don't think we have anything below 0 that much anymore, so it's shifting. But yeah, that's the way I decided the color repeat of this pattern. So it looks random, but it isn't. And I was talking about repurposing this yarn because it's not getting any use because of the difficult shape. So what I did, I started unraveling at the end, of course, because that's the place you can unravel something. And I'm knitting the color repeat backwards now. That's not a big problem because I'm knitting like squares and no one will see if I started at one end or at the other. What I am doing is I am unraveling each row, and after each row I cut the yarn. So sometimes a stripe is just one color, but over here this blue part, it has like 8 rows. So after each row I cut this yarn, and what I do with all those little balls is I knit a square from the center out. And this is the first one. This will be a corner, and I bound off 2 sides. Then I started another square. I attached them, bound off 1 side, and that is the way I repeated this process. So I've done 8 squares now, and I will make 14 in a row, and then I will go downwards. And I think that will be a more manageable blanket to use. And I still have the colors in the right order, so that is really, really fun. I'm only unraveling one color at a time because otherwise I have to write down everything and what the color repeat was, and I can't be bothered with that. So I just have unraveled one color and knit those, and then when those little balls are done, I go to the next color in the blanket. So that's what I'm doing here. This will need a really good block afterwards because it is used yarn, and that always gives a little bit of different effect than new yarn. But after blocking it will be fine. It is 100% cotton, I think. I'm not 100% sure. As I said, it has been a long time. But that is what I'm doing. This will be a long-term project because I've done 8 squares now. I think I have been working on this for a few days the past 2 weeks. My camera died. The battery was low. And it gave me a warning, so I saw the warning. I normally wear glasses, so I can't read anything on the screen, but my screen went black. And I was just like, what's over there? Oh, my battery's dying. So I don't know exactly where I was. I was telling about this blanket. I'm doing like 1 or 2 squares a day. So it will take like, in worst case scenario, over a year, because maybe I don't knit a square each day. So it will be a long-term project, but as I said, this is not getting any use at the moment, so it will be nice to make something out of it that will be used. Okay, so that has been something I have been working on. And I have other things I have been working on, not that much, but a few. I will start with the thing I have finished. And it is my handspun, as I said. And it has been proper finished because I've already washed it and it is dry again. So it is ready to get knit or whatever I'm going to do with it. I have 3 skeins. They're more than 100 gram each. I think in total I have like 480 grams, something around there. I made a, let's see if I can show you a little bit better. I have made a 3-ply out of it, a traditional 3-ply. It is quite densely spun, so the thread is not really thick. It's quite a thin thread, but it is quite dense. So that means that I have like a DK amount of meters to 100 grams. I think in total I have like a little more than 800 meters, so not 900, but definitely more than 800 meters. And that is fine, and I will find a purpose for it. It will bloom a lot. It is 100% Gotland yarn, so it has like, I think you can see, it has like a little halo around it, which is the effect you want with this kind of fiber. I was hoping I would have enough yardage to make Andrea Mary's, oh, I don't know the name of the cardigan. She has like a cropped cardigan with a lot of texture and bubbles and a lot of buttons in the front, and I really like the look of that cardigan. I don't think I have enough yarn for my size to knit that one, and it needs a fingering weight, I say by heart. So although it looks like a fingering, it will bloom up quite a lot, and I don't know if I want a really densely knit. It is densely knit, but I don't know if I don't want it to get stiff, you know. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. If I'm going to do that, I think I will have to knit shorter sleeves, so like 3¼ lengths. I mostly push up my sleeves anyway, so it won't be bothering me if the sleeves end just below my elbow or something. So I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do, and maybe I can make a proper gauge swatch, because there are many reasons to swatch, as I will tell you in a video that is coming up soon about swatches and gauge and all that stuff. And see, maybe I can do some calculations and adapting the pattern to fit this yarn in a proper way, and maybe I will need less meterage when I do so. So still debating with myself about that, but I'm very happy that this project is of my spinning wheel and I can start a new spinning project maybe. I think I will have to start this quite soon just to get it started. Otherwise, handspun has the intention to be put away and not used, and that's a shame. So I really want to use it, and I hope I can make some cropped kind of cardigan out of it, because I think it will be a really nice layer to add when you get a little bit cold. And the fun thing about a cardigan is it's easy to pop on and off, as I do a lot in daily life. I can get cold and hot just in a few seconds, so I think a cardigan is a good idea. And I really love the different tones of grey in this fiber. It was really fun to spin, although it's all grey, and I know a lot of people will say, spinning this much yarn out of only grey, isn't that boring? I don't think it was boring. It was really lovely to spin it really thin, because as I said, it is a 3-ply and still like quite a fine yarn. So I spun it really thin, and the color was constantly changing, not a lot, but there is like almost white in here and almost black in here, and it was really a fun experience. So this will be on my needles soon, I think. Let's see, I've done a few other things. One of them you have been seeing once in a while. I'm not going to show it every time because it's not everybody's cup of tea, and it's really hard to see progress on it because it is a cross stitch. But I am so proud that I finished one page of the 8 pages long pattern. So that is this part. So this is 1/8 of the total image. As I've said before when I showed it, it is from a theme park in the Netherlands, which is based around fairy tales and stuff. And I've been there, I think, from around 2 years old. I've been every year once, so I know it quite well. And yeah, I just love it. And I started the second part of the pattern, but only like a little bit. It looks really like a little bit next to this big piece. I think I did some calculations earlier, but I lost them, I think. Let's see. This is like one. I will hold it back so you can't zoom in. The quality of the video isn't that good that you can zoom in and unravel this pattern. But this is like 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, like 1400 stitches wide, and 900 stitches from top to bottom, and 1400 stitches wide. You can calculate how many stitches there are in one page, and of course not the whole page is filled. This is a little bit more open than the last part of the pattern I did, so there is clear area. But even if it is just half of the page you're stitching, there are a lot of stitches in there. So it is not that strange that it is taking up quite a lot of time. But it's really relaxing to do, I think. You don't have to think, you only have to count and pick the right color, and that's the only thing you're doing. And I really like how it is turning out, so I wanted to show that because I was really proud on the amount of work I have done on that project. And there is one other thing I want to show. I'm not sure how I'm going to show because I got a new tool, like, is it a tool? Yeah, it's like a tool. I got a Bridget Heddle loom, and I will take it out of its bag and tell you a little bit more about it. So I know there can be a little bit of confusion about taking a loom out of a bag. I got the Ashford knitter's loom. It's 70 centimeters wide. The piece you can weave on it is 70 centimeters wide, so the loom itself is a little bit wider. But that's the reason I can take it out of a bag, because it's like foldable. So this is it in its folded position. And I know some people think the knitter's loom is for weaving on your lap. I don't think that's doable with this size. Maybe with the smaller ones that will be, but with this width it's not really possible to weave on your lap. But the reason I went for this one is because you can flip it in and put it in a bag and put it away, because we live in like a normal sized home for Netherlands, and it's like there's enough room, but not that many room for like big tools, so like a floor loom or something like that. It's just not doable, I think, in those houses. So I really wanted to do something I can put away. We have a cat in the house, so I wanted the loom to be safe from him as well when I'm not working on it. So I chose for the knitter's loom, which you can flip in on itself and put in a bag. So that's why I can take my loom out of the bag. So I will unflip it and show you how it looks when you have it in the working position. So I have unflipped it. There will be some crinkling because there is paper on in between the barbs of the loom, and that's because you don't want them to get tangled and you want your tension to be even. But I'm right at the end of a piece of paper, so it's still attached in between the warp threads, but it's getting quite long, so I can't avoid that being a little bit crinkly. But this is how big it is when you flip it out. I can't put it in the frame at the moment. This piece is the back, and then you have your heddle in the center, and this is the front where you're sitting and your fabric is being made. I will do a video one time where I show you how I work on this. I know for some people it will be new, for some people it will be something they already know. The reason I wanted a loom is because I really like everything crafty. That's just me. But I also really wanted to make my choices of fabric a bit wider, because sometimes I have something in my mind but I can't really find it. Sometimes the fiber content isn't what I want, and in this way I can make fabric that is exactly as I want it, if I have a little practice, of course, because it won't be perfect the first time. I watched a lot of videos and I noticed that a lot of people use their looms to make scarves or blankets, and that's it. But what I want to do is I want to make long pieces of fabric and using it to sew things. I know there are people calling me crazy to cut in your hand-woven fabrics, but once you've washed them and once you've finished them properly, so you can't cut into fabric that's just off the loom, it will fall apart. But once you have finished your fabric by washing it, and just like with knitting, when you can wear a unblocked sweater. You can. I do that sometimes. There's no problem in that. But your fabric will change over time. You can think about the same thing with weaving. You can wear a scarf directly from your loom. It will be fine. You can wear it if you did the right finishing on the hems and stuff. You can wear it directly from the loom. But the fabric will change a little bit over time, and once you have finished your fabric by washing it, by using the right treatment, it is stable, and you can, if you've done it right, it will be stable, and you can actually cut pieces out of your fabric and use them to sew. Now there will be a few things different. I think one of the things I will do different when I'm going to cut into my own fabric is once I've cut it, I will directly finish all the cutting edges, while normally with sewing you only finish the edges after you've sewn the seams. So that will be something I will do different, but it's going to be a piece of fabric and you can use it for a lot of things, not only for making scarves. And of course I will make scarves on this, but it's not the only thing I want to do with it. What I'm working on right now, I'm not sure what it is going to be yet. You can see you can see through it. That's quite normal when it's on the loom because there's tension on the threads, and once you've taken it off the loom, it will flip in on itself and there will be less holes, and after watching there will be even lesser, is that a word? I think it will be almost not see-through. So we will see what I will make out of this. What I did, because it is my first weaving project, I calculated a bit. I bought two cones of, I bought two different colors, one cone each. So I've got one black cone and one orange cone. And I calculated how much fabric I could get out of all this material. And I think I can get like 5 meters long fabric in like 50, this is around 50 centimeters wide. I think that is possible, and I will have leftovers still when I've done my calculations right. So what I did is just warp the loom with 5 meters. That was quite a thing for a first time warping a loom, doing 5 meters. But I managed, and yeah, I'm just weaving and I'm learning how to control my edges, and I'm learning how to keep the tension even, and that's all a learning curve, and it's working out fine. And once it's off the loom and washed and everything, I will see what I will do with it. I think it will be really nice for maybe a garment, maybe. But we will see how it comes off the loom, how much see-through it is still after the finishing treatment. It is a cotton linen blend, so it will be really nice for summer. And when it doesn't work out, I can always cut off a piece the length of a scarf and wear it as a scarf. But we will see. We will see how it is going to end. The warping, because I wanted to make a houndstooth pattern, which means you have pattern in color 2x2. So you have 2 threads of one color, 2 threads of the other color, 2 threads of one color, 2 threads of the other color, alternating. And you do exactly the same that's in your warp, and you do exactly the same in your weft. So 2 threads of one color, 2 threads of the other color. And when you do that, when you alternate that, you get this really nice looking pattern, which is just a plain loop. You don't have to use pickup sticks or extra heddles or anything complicated. It's just alternating your colors. There are 300 warping threads in this pattern because it's such a fine yarn. You really need the threads to be close to have a nice balanced fabric. So in this 50 centimeter wide piece, I have 300 warp threads. Now, I couldn't find a place where I can put the loom and a warping peg with 5 meters in between. So I used my warping board, which I made for making self-striping yarn. So I was lucky I had that, and I put it next to my loom, and I did like a hybrid form of warping, like direct warping with a warping board. So if you don't know what it is, there are quite a lot of videos that tell you how to do that. I didn't make it up on my own. I watched YouTube videos to see how you can do this. I was able to make the warp, but I'm not going to do that with every single thread, like walking up and down 300 times. And because it's 2x2, I just took the orange yarn and the black yarn together and warped the loom in that way. So I skipped a slot every time, so I put 4 threads to a slot through a slot. I don't know. Maybe I'm going way too far in depth about this. You can skip this. It's just I'm really happy with what I did. So you have like long big holes you call slots from top to bottom, and you have like eyes next to it. I don't know if they're called eyes, but you have little holes and big holes, and the big holes are called slots. They're the most easy to thread. And what I did is I put 2 orange and 2 black threads through a slot, skip a slot, and do the same in the next one. So 2 orange, 2 black, skip 1, 2 orange, 2 black in 1, skip 1, which made the movement on the warping board like half the times. So that was really a time saver in that sense. And when all the threads were on the loom, I started dividing them. So putting 2 of the same color to the slot next to it and filling up all the holes I made. And you can have a little problem with on the back because the threads are overlapping a little bit more than when you warp them in each, like in the right way directly. But I don't have huge issues with it yet, so I'm very happy that I did it that way. And I'm very happy with my loom. It's really relaxing to do. The way you use it is you have like those corners out of your loom. You put those on the edge of your table or on any edge really that is wide enough to fit your loom on. And you put this side against your belly and you can weave. And it's a really comfortable way to sit. The reason I can't use it on my lap is because it's too deep for me. So my lap is not deep enough to get my knees to the support bar. So when I put it on my lap, I will put my knees against the handle and it will fall off. So that's not a way I can weave with this. I can't weave with this on my lap, but that wasn't the intention. The intention was making it portable. And it really is, because it can flip in on itself and it's really, really nice. So you will see more of this. I'm not going to show the pattern every time. I don't think it will be finished really soon or anything. So once it's off the loom, I will share it again, and I won't stop knitting, because knitting is something I really like, and this is just something else I can do and craft with. And to be honest, if I could, I would be crafting all day. That's not possible, and of course I don't want to miss other things out of life, but just yeah, I really like crafting. So I'm thinking, I did one other thing, but I can't really show. I did some knitting on my knitting machine. There was a project on there with like a lace motif I've shown a long time ago, and I had not worked on that much in the past months, I think. And what I did is I ripped it out, and it is like quite a lot of cotton in the same color, but really fine. I used for something to crochet, but that didn't work out. It was old stash, and what I'm doing now with it, instead of the lace scarf, is I put stitches on the whole width of my knitting machine, and I put stitches on the whole width of my knitting machine, and I am just knitting it all. So I think also one of the reasons to do it is to get my knitting machine to work perfectly fine. So the only thing I'm doing now is knitting across. So moving the card from one side to the other and back. I'm doing something with the edge stitches to make them a little bit more neat, but that's the only thing complicated I'm doing, and I'm just knitting it all. And I get a really big piece of knitted fabric, and I will just see what I will do with that. Maybe the same as with weaving. I can make anything out of it really, as long as I make sure that once I put my scissors in it, it is in the right place and it's not falling all apart. But you can also, I did it with the sweater for my husband. I knit it straight up to the shoulders and made the neckline afterwards with picking up stitches, cutting the excess fabric and finishing the seam. I can do that with a knitted piece of fabric. So we will see what becomes of that, but that's also something I've been working on. And I've been working on the swatches because I want to make that swatch gauge and other terms video, because I get really annoyed with people combining words and using words in a way I think is not always right. So I'm almost done with that. I only have to knit one more swatch, and then I can start recording and can start washing them, so I can record the other part of the video. So I think that may take a month or something to completely finish it, but it's really something I've been thinking about a lot, and I think it will be nice. So that's everything I have to talk about, I think. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you didn't mind my rambling on about my weaving loom, because yeah, I'm just really happy with it. And I hope to see you next time. Bye!